Well, welcome everyone to this webinar. It's an admissions info session for Davidson Academy Online for our 24-25 admissions. So today we're going to be doing a few different things. I first want to talk about just how this webinar is set up. Then you'll get a chance to meet the people who are here on the webinar. And then we're just going to take you through some different parts of Davidson Academy Online, looking at some of our numbers, our courses, student services, application, and then our assessment. The final part of the webinar will leave open for any questions that you have. So first up, this webinar is designed to answer many of the common questions that we get about Davidson Academy Online. We are recording this webinar and we will post the recording on our virtual open houses and events page. We'll also be holding panel-style open houses where you can hear from Davidson Academy Online students, teachers, and parents on Wednesday, November 1st at 4:30 p.m. Pacific time and Wednesday, December 6th at 5:30 p.m. Pacific time. You can sign up for those panel-style webinars on our virtual open houses and events page. And then for this webinar, we have the Q&A pod open. Please add your questions there. Written responses to questions that come in at the Q&A pod don't appear in the webinar recording. So we'll collect all of your questions and then we'll answer those live at the end of this webinar. But if in that Q&A pod you post a question that's a little bit more specific to your individual student or situation, we may not answer that live in the webinar, but rather follow up with you via email later. All right, so I'd love for the people who are here on this webinar to introduce themselves. We can go in order on the slide.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Lauren Bowman. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. Like many of the folks you'll meet this afternoon, I wear a few different hats at DAO. I'll be one of your touch points during the admissions process, and I am also one of our 3 student services counselors. Glad you're here.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ben Brown. I'm the technology manager at Davidson Online. For the admissions process, most of the time, I'm just handling the tech support. So if students have any questions, if you have any questions about technology, you'd contact me about that. But I also teach some classes and am in charge of technology acquisitions here as well.
Hello, everyone. My name is Krista Pasquale, and I'm the online operations specialist. For the admissions, I help with the application process to help you get your application completed and any questions in between there until you get to enrollment. At DAO, I also have other few hats such as teaching and general communications and admissions.
Hi, everyone. My name is Raynell Rafferty, and I am the second of the third-party 3-party student services counseling department. I wear also multiple hats, from counseling, helping students organize, doing presentations and trainings for staff, as well as teaching, college seminar, and a variety of other areas of counseling. So we're happy to see you here, and yeah, enjoy.
All right, thank you all. And my name is Ashley Zahn. I'm the director of Davidson Academy Online. My primary job is to be a collaborator with all of these wonderful people who are here, as well as our other faculty and staff. And so I'm just generally in charge of program oversight. All right, so you've met our people who are here. Let's talk a little bit about Davidson Academy Online. You may hear us say DAO a lot. That's our abbreviation for Davidson Academy Online. So we are an independent school separate from the in-person Davidson Academy in Reno, Nevada. So we're 2 separate schools. Davidson Academy Online is accredited by the Western Association of Schools and Colleges, often just called WASC. And all of our courses, at least all of our high school courses, I should say, are individually approved through the University of California system. So Davidson Academy Online and Davidson Academy in Reno, it's important to note, because we're 2 different schools, we have 2 different applications and assessments. So if you're interested in applying to both schools, you must submit 2 different applications. So that's who we are and how we're separate from Davidson in Reno. But what we do, we're a rigorous school and a rigorous, fully online synchronous school. And by grouping these wonderful, profoundly gifted students together, we push students to reach their full academic potential. It's really impressive what our students accomplish during their time here. And then throughout this webinar, I'll just let you know, we'll be referencing pages on our website, davidsononline.org. So please feel free to navigate to our website if you want to follow along with any of the pages that we talk about. And just a note on our website, it makes use of a tabbed structure, and you can find further information under each general topic tab. All right, so let's talk a little bit about Davidson by the numbers, and I guess here by the places. So this map shows where our students and faculty reside this academic year. The burgundy stars denote where students are, and gray denote faculty or staff. And you'll notice that we have hubs of students in the Northern Nevada and Northern California area, as well as Southern Nevada and Southern California. We also have some larger groups of students in Texas and the Pacific Northwest. So that's where our students are this academic year. Oh, and we also have 2 students in Canada, if you can't see that up at the top of our map. For our student composition, DAO focuses on full-time enrollment, and you'll notice that most of the students who attend DAO, it's their full-time main school. We do offer some single courses in math and English. And so for those single courses, students must begin in geometry for math and either composition and analysis or rhetoric and literary analysis for English. Those single course students who are in good academic standing can then progress through the single credit course sequence in that subject area. Single courses are a great way for students who are interested in attending DAO full-time to try out our model of online learning. But something to note is that it can sometimes be difficult for students who attend a local school full-time to schedule single courses, since our single courses are going to meet during regular school hours. They meet between 8 a.m. and 1:30 p.m. Pacific time. For our enrollment by grade level, which is the graph on the right-hand side, you can see that our grade level classes are small overall. Our 8th grade class is often one of our larger classes because it tends to be kind of like the sweet spot for students getting admitted to the program. And while students do have an assigned grade level, their grade level doesn't dictate the courses which they can take, but it's rather used to determine the number of years available to them to graduate. So a student, for instance, who is an age-based 8th grader has 5 years available to them to graduate from DAO. So we had 31 new students enroll for the 23-24 school year, and usually between 30 and 40 new students is a typical number for us. We did have a larger incoming class during the height of the pandemic, but 30 to 40 is pretty normal. As far as our makeup for gender, we do tend to have more male students enrolled most years, so please encourage your female students to apply. We would love to see that balance out a little bit. And if you'd like to look at more numbers related to Davidson Academy Online, as well as information on our our graduates' college acceptances and matriculation, you can check out our school profile. That's available under the admissions tab on our website. So next up, tuition. Tuition is $15,500 for high school, $10,000 for middle school, and then $3,650 per course for those single courses. If you live in Nevada, we waive tuition for Nevada residents who have proof of their Nevada residency in the form of a Nevada Real ID. Things like textbooks, supplies, computers, and lab kits are purchased separately by families and are not included in the cost of tuition. We do have financial assistance available for qualified families. And so to apply for financial assistance, you can complete the application. It's called FAST is the application on the tuition and aid page of our website. And that FAST financial assistance application is due February 15th, 2024 for the 24-25 school year. So that's us by some of the numbers in our makeup. So now I want to talk a little bit about our courses. So what are DAO courses like? So like I said before, DAO is a synchronous online school. What that means is that our classes meet for weekly live sessions over Zoom and follow a calendar, as opposed to some online programs where the courses you don't meet in Zoom or groups like this and they're self-paced. That's not what we do. We're synchronous. So our schedule is similar to a university schedule where students' core courses meet twice a week, either on Monday, Wednesday, or Tuesday, Thursday for 90-minute class sessions. And those 3 hours of live session that they'll have for each class each week are going to focus on discourse. That's a time for the students to connect with their teachers as well as each other. And since students are in class live sessions 3 hours each week, as opposed to maybe 4 or 5 hours at in-person schools, students do have asynchronous work that they complete throughout the week. Our elective courses meet once a week on Fridays, and those classes will meet for either 1.5 or 2 hours. It just depends on the course. And then they too have asynchronous work done outside of class time. Those Friday electives change each semester based on student interest and our faculty's expertise. For fall 2023 semester, we have a range of offerings, including things like book club, speech and debate, yearbook, animal ethics, music theory, classical Chinese, and competition math. I think it can be helpful to get a visual of a DAO schedule, right? When I say it's university, they meet Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Thursday. What does that mean? So this is an example, this first one, of a middle school student schedule who's living on the East Coast. When possible, we can sometimes offer courses during what we call zero block. And this is a block that meets from 6 to 7:30 a.m. Pacific time. And those are strictly for students living in Central and Eastern time zones so that they can start their days a little bit earlier. The majority of DAO classes meet between 8 a.m. and 1:30 p.m. Pacific time. So in this student schedule, they do have a class that meets during zero block on Tuesday, Thursday. But the rest of their schedule, they have core courses Monday through Thursday, and then their one elective on Friday. Something to take note of here that I'll also come back to in a couple slides is that there are gaps in the student schedule where they're not scheduled for a class. Students should think of these gaps almost like study halls or times for them to do schoolwork. This next sample schedule is for an older advanced high school student who's living on the West Coast. You'll notice that there are no classes during that zero block. And this student is actually just taking more courses than the middle school student in the previous sample schedule. Even though they're taking more courses, they still do have some gaps in their schedule where they don't have coursework, but they have some time available for other schoolwork. So that's kind of what our schedule looks like for students. Now let's talk about our curriculum. So, right, what makes DAO curriculum stand out? Really the hallmark of Davidson education, both for us at DAO and at the in-person campus in Reno, is that students are grouped by ability rather than age in their core courses. And this feature allows students to progress more quickly through subject areas of strength and slow down if they need to in subject areas of growth. I encourage you to take a look at the courses page under the academic tab of our website, and you'll see some course titles that look familiar. But what's important to remember is that Davidson courses have been developed specifically for profoundly gifted students. So for instance, Algebra 2 taught at a local school likely isn't going to cover all the same material as DAO's Algebra 2 would. And our courses are typically taught 2 to 3 years above traditional grade levels, which means that middle school courses are taught at a high school level and high school courses are taught at a university level. So because our courses are accelerated 2 to 3 years, the workload is challenging. Right? It should be challenging. These are students who can handle a challenge. Full-time students must be enrolled in a minimum of 5 courses at DAO. And like I mentioned before, those Monday through Thursday courses meet for 3 hours of live session each week. Then the part to note here is they're going to have about 5 to 7 hours of homework outside of those live sessions. Friday courses, like I said, meet for 1.5 or 2 hours of live session. And then throughout the week, they're going to have 2 to 5 hours of homework outside of live sessions. It can really vary pretty greatly depending on the Friday electives that students choose. For the average student, this means about 40 hours of schoolwork per week total. So when I say that 40 hours, I'm thinking about their live session classes and their homework that they're doing outside of live sessions. To compare, a student in a more traditional school may be in classes about 6 hours a day, and then they may have about 2 hours of homework per night, which is also about 40 hours a week. And so what's key though is students learning to manage their workload. And in order to manage their workload, they really need to rethink what it means to be in school and what school time is. So I want to go back to those two sample schedules that I had. And so revisiting them, remember that DAO students aren't in their classes, aren't in their live sessions straight through the day. In fact, students may only be in class for 2 hours of live sessions in a given day. And so they need to think about that regular school time. Even if they're not in live sessions, they should still be used for schoolwork. So here, right, I have some of the various times highlighted on the student schedule where they're not in classes. That advanced high school student, they don't have quite as many breaks in their day, but on their longest day, they still end their classes at 1:30 p.m. Pacific time, right? Compared to maybe like 3:30, depending on the local school. And so with the nature of our schedule and the fact that we're online, students are in classes, so in their actual live session Zoom classes for less time than traditional schools, but that means that some of that work is then shifted outside of class. One of the common questions that we get is about accessibility support. So we know that all students learn differently. That's why DAO exists, right? Where we're a school of students who learn differently. We have small class sizes and we give all of our students personalized attention. We cap core courses at 15 students, but most students have an average of most classes have an average of 7 to 9 students. And so because our classes are small, we can provide some classroom-based supports for students. Something to note though is because we're an independent school that doesn't receive any public funding, we don't provide direct special education services such as therapies. These services are available from your local public school. All right, I will pass the mic.
Thank you. So Mrs. Zahn has emphasized, rightfully so, that we are a really challenging school. That said, we have many supports for students put in place so that students can thrive while they're here. Up first, our school counseling team, also known as our student services team. We meet regularly with each full-time DAO student. School counselors are here to offer support for personal concerns, support students' executive functioning, but most importantly, we're here to walk beside them as they celebrate their successes and tackle new challenges. We also offer several teacher-facilitated, student-driven mentoring and tutoring services to support students in a couple of different academic areas. Our STEM Mentors program, which is organized by one of our math instructors. STEM Mentors offer support in math and science. The minimum requirement for students to participate as a STEM mentor is that they complete Calculus 1. This is typically a really highly sought after position. And I think this year our STEM mentors have all completed Calculus 2 or beyond. Similarly, we have the Writing Center organized by one of our English instructors and staffed by a group of students that we lovingly call the Word Nerds. These advanced level English students are here to offer feedback on essays or any other written assignments that your students might want a second set of eyeballs on before submitting. We also offer ambassadors. Ambassadors are going to be successful DAO students who help bridge the gap and welcome new students into our community. Ambassadors spend time with new students over the course of the summer prior to their first semester at DAO. We want them to feel welcome. They spend time together hanging out and helping them feel comfortable before the school year even starts. Something else that happens over the summer before your student would start at DAO is first year seminar. First year seminar is designed for all new students. It's designed for students to familiarize themselves with the different tech platforms they'll encounter during the school year. But it's also going to be a really great opportunity for students to make connections, either with other new students, returning students, and the student services team. Also, our student council is going to be an elected board of student representatives who plan student events alongside the student services team. College planning is something that we're always really excited to talk about. College planning is going to be facilitated through regular meetings with your student's assigned counselor. We'll spend a little bit more time talking about college planning once your student enters high school. And all 11th grade students participate in College Seminar, a course which is co-taught by the 3 members of the student services team. Consider this course a launch pad for student success in the college application process and for developing plans for life after high school. Students will receive instruction and as a cohort and individualized instruction. They'll prepare essential elements of their college application. We'll cover topics like personality and career assessments, develop their resume, strategize their college lists, work on essay prep, and other related content. Last but not least, we have Oracle, which is our social, emotional, and academic hub for students. That's really going to be a place for students to develop a smaller supportive community within our larger DAO community. Now, it's worth noting here that Oracle will be the only time that your student will be grouped by age rather than by ability. One of the most frequently asked questions that we get is about campus culture. How do we bring students together? How do we create our community when we live together online? We have a handful of different ways that we go about this. Our student council hosts a monthly event every month. Last night, it happened to be a movie night. This month, we're looking forward to a student talent show. These monthly events are opportunities for all of our students to come together outside of our academic community in a shared activity. We also hold community meetings once per month. Consider these our version of a school assembly. So three Tuesdays a month, our students will meet together in their Oracle houses. 1 Tuesday per month, all Oracle houses will come together with our faculty and staff to discuss upcoming events and celebrate student successes. Let's see. We also have a host of school and student-run clubs. This year we have 15 official clubs. Off the top of my head, we have Cooking Club, Star Wars Club, Computer Science Club, Math Club, and a few competitive teams. We also have a handful of other non-official clubs. The only requirement for an official club is that there are at least 4 interested students and an interested faculty member willing to support that club. Now, student clubs also end up hosting their own events in addition to those events hosted by our student council. So let's see, our music club puts together a mini concert series, or last year I really enjoyed an event that our cooking club put on in October. They hosted Halo Halo to honor both Hispanic Heritage Month and Filipino American History Month. It was a really lovely event. Hitting on these last 2 points here, we get to offer guest lecture series, professionals from a variety of industries and backgrounds who are really looking forward to speaking to our students and want to share their experiences with our students. And something that I'm thrilled to share is school dances. Yes, even as an online school, we still have them. We will host at least 1 school dance a year. Parents, there's no driving students. There's no worrying about students' locations. As a faculty member, I've chaperoned more school dances than I can count, and I really can tell you it is the best school dance chaperone duty ever. And with that, I'll pass the mic.
Hello. Once again, I'm Krista, and we're going to start going over the application and admissions process for Davidson Academy Online. So the updated list of accepted tests and qualifying scores for an application has been posted on our accepted tests page under the admissions tab. Applications submitted without one of the accepted tests will be declined. So please make sure that you look at that. If you have a test that's not listed on the page, it may be submitted and reviewed as supplementary material. So please check the qualifying test score criteria for tests because some need to be administered within specific year ranges. Some tests will only be accepted if the applicant is 13 years or older. Some scores have a minimum score requirement. So if the applicant is younger and submitting that test, then their score will be compared to the minimum score criteria available. For example, our minimum score criteria for the SAT is for grade 6. If a student who is in grade 5 applies using the SAT, their scores will be compared to the grade 6 score criteria since there are no grade 5 criteria for the SAT. Another note is that the Davidson Institute has partnered with Northwestern CTD to provide 2 additional tests that we will accept: the official practice SAT and the ITBS. These tests will only be accepted if they are administered through that Davidson partnership. Anything solely through CTD or Khan Academy, not through that Davidson partnership, will not be accepted. For the ITBS, while the Davidson Institute is providing signups for 3rd and 4th grade, our minimum score criteria for that test is 5th grade. So anyone who's in 3rd and 4th, their scores will be compared to the 5th grade scores only. Overall, applicants should be in at least 5th grade to apply to Davidson Academy Online to meet our minimum eligibility criteria for admissions. As stated in previous slides, our curriculum is generally 2 to 3 grade levels higher than traditional schools and is more rigorous. So younger applicants who have skipped 1 grade into 5th will need to consider Davidson's minimum eligibility criteria is likely higher than a single grade skip. Applicants who are younger are suggested to look at Davidson Explore, Davidson Institute's supplementary course program for younger middle school students. Okay, so we have some questions in the Q&A pod. Some of the questions I will get to in the next slide, actually.
Do you want to, but before you go on to the next one, do you want to get the SAT, ACT one, Krista?
So the question is the SAT, ACT score thresholds based on students' age or their present grade at their school outside of DAO? So the scores that are listed are the general scores encompassing all the scores that were taken from that grade. However, we understand that some students are placed in different grade levels depending on their age, but also in different states, they are placed in different grade levels based on their age. So we consider a lot of variables when we are looking at the scores. We also consider a lot of variables when we are given those score requirements by professionals. So please keep that in mind that although we do have that score requirement, we also have the secondary part of our assessment, which is the readiness assessment to enhance our admissions process. Okay. So how to start an application, which might be a lengthy process, but I'm here to help. If you have any questions with the application process, you can email me directly or email us at online@davidsononline.org, and I will help you get through it. All this information is also on the application. It is also in the how to apply page, which you can find on the admissions how to apply page. And then it has a step-by-step process. You can see on that screenshot, there's a step 1, a step 2. So if you open that up, it has even more details. And then, like I said, in the application, there is a long detailed process as well to help you through the application. But if you have any questions, you can also go directly to me. So to start an application, we have an application system under SM Apply. So you can go to davidsongifted.smapply.org or smapply.io. That will be where you start your application. But before you start your application, make sure that the owner of the application is the student. So before you click that blue apply button, look at that top left hand or top right hand corner and see that the name is the student's name. If it is you, the parent's name, pause, sign out and create an account for your student and then start that application. There will be a time when you as the parent will need to create an account and have an account. So there are some tasks like the parent information task and the parent agreement task where you will need to be added as a collaborator. Find that gray collaborator button and add yourself as a collaborator. Go to your email to confirm that collaboration acceptance, and then you can go back into the application under your account now to complete the rest of the application. There are some closed tasks when you are completing it. So this is to help you make sure that you are not completing things that you don't need to complete. For example, if you are applying as a single course math student, once you complete that program selection, the math placement testing goes away because you don't need to complete that. You're applying for a single course geometry. Then you also don't need to complete the English recommender requirement, so that goes away. And now the 2 recommender requirements that you do need will be available for you to complete. If you do change your mind and go from single course math to full-time, those 2 options will just pop right up again. So please keep that in mind when things aren't available for you. It's just waiting for you to complete something else, and then it'll decide if you actually need it or not. Then, when you are completing the recommenders, please make sure that the recommenders are aware beforehand that they need to complete the recommender forms. They will receive a letter from our application system to complete the recommender form, so they'll need to log in, complete the form, and that form will be attached to your application. They are not submitting a letter. They are completing a form. So we cannot accept letters outside of this application. If they're trying to send a letter through an email, we will not accept that letter. Once the recommender form is completed, you as the applicant will receive a notification email saying that the recommender has completed their form. So you can go back into the application. That mark as complete button will be available, and you can mark that application's recommender completed. So once all those recommenders are completed, then you'll be able to complete those recommender tasks for the application. Next, application fee. If you are an out of Nevada, a non-Nevada resident, then you will have an application fee to complete. You can only complete this through the PayPal option that is available in the application. Once you complete this task, it will automatically complete the tasks for you, so you don't have to check any box or sign anything. You just need to complete the payment, and then it'll connect back to the application that this application has been completed. However, if you are a Nevada resident, you will, instead of having the application fee, the upload of proof of residency will pop up instead, and you will need to submit a Nevada Real ID. If you do not submit a Nevada Real ID, so you're trying to submit something else, we will not accept that and will request you to submit the application fee. If you don't even have a Nevada Real ID, but are a Nevada resident, just talk to us, and then we can just open up the application fee for you as well. And then that's pretty much all the tasks that are required for you. There are some little things like the demographics, but at the end, once all the tasks are completed, this could be about 15 to 16 tasks, depending on what program you've selected, you are able to submit the task, but only if you're under the owner of the application, so the student. So as a collaborator or a parent account, you will not be able to submit the application. That submit button will not show for you, but it'll show that you have your 15 tasks complete. So make sure once all those tasks are complete and you're ready to submit, you can go to your student's account and then press submit. Once you submit, there's no more editing. You cannot fix anything. That is it. So make sure you are ready to submit so that it can be reviewed for the admissions.
Can we pause again, Krista? There's some great questions here. And I might want to throw one over to you as well, Lauren. So the first one, maybe both of you can answer. So it's, could you please provide a little more info regarding the recommendation so that they can give their recommenders a heads up? So how much time do you expect a recommender to spend on writing the recommendation? Do you want to? Oh yeah, go ahead.
I can answer that unless you want to. I would say the recommender forms generally don't take that long, maybe 10 to 15 minutes, depending on how much that recommender needs to write. Although they are completing a form, there are questions where they need to write a little bit more than just answering a simple question. So please keep that in mind, that it is similar to a regular recommendation where you should let them know in advance so they're not rushing that last few hours trying to complete this recommendation form. They still need time to answer those questions to better support you, your applicant, as best as possible with that form.
Anything you want to add there, Lauren, just as you're reviewing recommendations, things that you might be looking for might be helpful hints?
Yeah, absolutely. Thinking about helpful hints for recommendations. Truthfully, the best thing that you can do for your recommender is give them that advance notice. Ms. Pasquale is absolutely right that the form itself doesn't take that long to complete, but your recommender will need a little bit of time and space to consider your students' academic performance, their behavior, maybe a few anecdotes or memories that they have about their student. Truthfully, the best thing that you can do is just give them advance notice to expect this.
Thanks. Krista, another question. How do recommendations work for homeschooled students?
That is a great question that I get quite often. So for students who are homeschooled and may only have maybe just their parent is their recommender, you as the parent can complete the recommendation form. You just need to make sure that the email you send as the recommendation form is different than the owner of the application recommender. So you can see that screenshot, the owner is kpasquale@davidsononline.org. You cannot send the recommender forms to that same email. It has to be a completely different email. And then another thing to keep in mind is, because it is a parent, it won't hold the same weight if the recommender was completed from an outside source. So just keep that in mind, but we will accept the parent or a singular teacher for those recommender forms because you don't have anyone else.
Thanks. One of the other questions that we got is, do you accept the Khan Academy SAT scores? What's important there is an official practiced SAT offered through the Khan Academy that you can take just like by going to Khan Academy and signing up for. We don't take that score. The Davidson Institute, however, has partnered with the Northwestern Center for Talent Development, and there is an official proctored practice SAT available through the Davidson Institute that we do take. I can't stress this enough. It has to be the one through the Davidson Institute partnership. And so I believe, do we have that linked on the website, Krista, do you know, on our website?
Yeah, it's linked on the website. If you go under the accepted tests page, both the ITBS and the official practice SAT link to the registration page for that event.
Okay. Great. There's another one here that might be a good one for you, Krista. So this applicant is interested in applying for high school. They took the PSAT 8-9 in middle school when they were in 7th grade, but this student is applying for high school. Is it okay for them to submit that score?
I might need to look at it a bit more with a
Okay.
complete application, but I think based off of that information, yes, it is okay. As a 7th grader, they took it as a 7th grader. The test scores will be compared to 7th grade test scores that are listed on the accepted tests page.
Yeah, thanks. I think that's probably the helpful clarification piece. If it's an older test and it's an achievement test that's grade based, well, we'll compare the qualifying score with the age of the student when they took the test. All right, I'll let you move on, Krista.
I only have one slide left, and that is the deadline. So the overall application deadline is January 15th. However, we do have an apply early option. If you complete the application by October 20th, that's completed and submitted, then you will receive that 50% discount. On October 21st, that $100 fee will be activated again. So you'll either need to pay the difference or pay that $100 fee. So please make sure that the application is submitted by October 20th. And that's it for me.
Thanks so much, Krista. There was a question that you answered about October 20th. And then there was, before you jump in again, Lauren, there was one other one that I wanted to hit here. So someone asked, is there anything different if we're planning to move to Nevada? You're not a Nevada resident yet. So we do, in order to waive the application fee and waive tuition, we need proof of Nevada residency in the form of a Nevada Real ID. All right, you can go ahead, Lauren.
Excellent. I'll jump in. All right, so Ms. Pasquale has walked you through the application process. What comes next? If you're invited to participate in the academic readiness assessment, you'll see me again in just a few months, or hopefully sooner if you end up meeting our early bird deadline. All applicants who meet posted application criteria are invited to assess. There are going to be a few things that we ask that students have for live session and our academic readiness assessment. We want to see that they have a quiet space to work independently, a computer with a webcam, a headset with microphone, and that they have a quiet room with adequate lighting. We do host assessment over a 2-day period. It's going to be a Thursday, Friday. Students will need to miss some school time in order to accommodate that, but we've tried to minimize that to the greatest extent possible. There will be some synchronous and asynchronous elements of the academic readiness assessment process. The synchronous element of the process will be the writing assessment, conducted in Zoom and co-hosted by myself and one of our wonderful English instructors. Students will meet the two of us on Thursday. They'll read a short story, respond to a few short answer questions. They'll discuss that short story seminar style. And then the rest of our live session will be dedicated to students drafting an essay. On Friday, we'll meet together again. Students will revise their essays, and they'll also participate in a student interview with a member of our student services team. There will be some other asynchronous elements of the academic readiness assessment. Those are going to be some academic subtests. Students will take reading, math, and science tests proctored via HonorLock. We're just going to use that data from the academic subtests to ensure that a student can place into at least grade level classes in all of our core subject areas. All right, I'm gonna pass the mic.
All right, thanks. So actually, before I head on to talking about some more information that you can find, I want to answer some of the other questions that have come in through Q&A about the application. So there was a question, if the student is already accepted as a Davidson Young Scholar, Davidson Young Scholars is a program offered through the Davidson Institute, does that change the application process for the student who wants to do sixth grade? It doesn't. So the Davidson Institute Young Scholars Program and Davidson Academy Online may have slightly different testing requirements depending on the age of the student. And that's another question I'll answer in just a moment. So Davidson Young Scholars still do have to go through the full application and assessment process. And then where's the other one? Oh, is there a reason why the WISC-5 is accepted for only students who are 13 years and older? Yes, there is a reason. So students who are 12 and younger, we want to see achievement test scores for those students. The WISC-5 is an IQ test, and so students who are 13 and older can use IQ tests. The reason why we have that that separation there is because students who are 12 or younger, we need to see what grade level work they can do. Like we've been talking about, our curriculum is accelerated a couple of grade levels. And so that above grade level testing will show us that a student who is 12 years old is actually ready for the curriculum that we're offering. Their IQ lets us know the capacity that they have to for that learning, but not if they're ready for exactly what Davidson has to offer. All right, and let's see. Another question was, if we're undecided yet on single course or full-time, would you advise applying for full-time so that we have all the application materials ready? I would say yes. Go ahead and do that full-time application so you are ready, you have everything. And Krista, what do we usually tell folks if they want that single course option available when they apply for full-time? Is it a note that you put in the application?
Yep, you can just
Yep.
let us know, just email us, and then I'll put a note directly in the application.
Okay, great. All right. I'll go on here. So we covered a lot of material in this particular session, but if you want to do any kind of deeper dive into some of these topics here, you can find videos that some people here on this call have recorded about these general areas, just FAQs, our curriculum assessment, things like that. So yes, you're welcome to view those on our website. And you all already have been, but if you have some questions, please go ahead and add them to the Q&A pod because we'll keep answering those questions now. I'll pause my screen share. So one that Raynell, I'd love for you to answer. So this person is asking what in-person events are available for DAO students.
Okay, thanks, Ashley. So some of the in-person events we have, for example, would be like our summer retreat that's held at the end of July. That's a big celebration. Staff and students come together in Reno, and we do information sessions. We have fun events and activities for the kids to participate in, and just kind of get together, visit with one another. Families tend to also get together. Parents organize with DAO. Parents will organize meetup sessions in different areas of the country so that kids can kind of come together as well. And then, you know, we have a lot of students that participate in speech and debate, math competitions. And so that's a time as well that students have come together to meet up. And I know as a staff member, I've told my students that if I'm coming through their area of the country or town, that I'd love to meet up with them, get them together. So there's a lot of things, not only just online, but also we try to, you know, engage our students in person as well. So thank you.
Krista, do you want to take those testing questions or do you want me to answer some others first?
I can ask or answer the testing questions. So One question is, are the minimum scores for the SAT and ACT allowed to use SuperScore, in which you can take the highest score from individual test states? No. You have to submit one testing score from one test for it to be considered as a whole complete qualification test. If you are submitting multiple scores, multiple testing, the rest of the testing will be looked at as supplementary material, and only that one test that is submitted first would be looked at as the qualifying testing score. Another question is, can the SAT be taken at a local high school through College Board? Yes, that is very, very encouraged. If you can take the SAT at a local high school, the College Board SAT is the official administrator. So any SAT that you can get the scores directly from College Board, we will accept in the application. The next question is, I believe the ACT, SAT minimum scores have increased compared to last year. Is this the case? If using a score from last year, are minimums based on the older data based on their grade when they took the test, or will the new standards apply? Every year, the testing criteria is updated. So we accept the scores based on the current application requirements. So even if you took the testing scores, if your student took the testing scores 2 years ago, they'll still be compared to the testing scores requirements that we have posted for this upcoming school year. You are applying for this upcoming school year, not the previous school years. For any of the minimum scores, you can just find that on our accepted testing page under admissions. That will probably be the best than me listing out what the scores are, so you can compare it directly to those numbers and to your test scores.
Thanks, Krista. So a couple of other questions in here. So since the school is online, how will AP tests and competitions be proctored? That's a great question and brings up something important. Davidson Academy Online is not an AP school. APs are designed for high achieving students, not profoundly gifted students. And so our courses are not married to the AP curriculum. That said, some of our students do choose to still take AP tests. Like for instance, classes like calculus is calculus. So, sometimes students do choose to take an AP test, but because we're an online school, our students don't all live in the same location. We don't proctor AP tests. Families do need to find local schools to take those tests. And then as far as competitions are concerned, it depends on the competition. So there are some competitions that allow for online school teams, and we love those. It's a really easy way for our students to be able to participate in those. There are some competitions that are still place-based, and we will sometimes have students who will travel to go to in-person competitions. Again, it really just depends on the competition and the general organization. This is a great question too. So 2 hours of homework, this person is saying 2 hours of homework per day in addition to 6 hours of schoolwork actually seems to be less hours than our local high school students who are taking a rigorous course load. So I want to be clear that when I've given that kind of general information, I've had people say students are spending way more time on homework than 2 hours a night at their local school. I've had people tell me that they're spending way less. It's tough to track all of this. Just kind of general average is what we're talking about. And even those times that I gave for DAO classes, it's an average. It really is an average. There are some students who take more than 5 to 7 hours on their homework for each class. It really just depends. The reason for going over that is really just trying to get people to rethink what in-school time means. And just because your student is spending more time on homework at DAO. It doesn't necessarily mean that there's a huge difference, though, in the work that they're doing, just because we meet for less class time. That's what I was trying to drive home with that example. Let's see. So how do we retain our best teachers? And what's the median tenure of a DAO teacher? I don't actually have, I don't know that information off the top of my head. That is something that I could certainly look up. I actually encourage you to come to one of our open house or one of our panel style open houses that'll be happening in November and December. It's the first Wednesday of that month. Because for those, we invite our faculty to come and talk. When they come and talk at those on those panels, what they say is DAO allows them to teach at a really high level to amazing students. We have several faculty members who have come to us from higher education, and they comment that they're able to teach DAO students at a higher level than they could teach college undergrads who they had worked with. What keeps teachers here is this amazing student population and just the ability to teach these high level things, to teach them deeply, to teach them completely, to be at a school where students want to learn. That's a common thing that I hear. But again, I encourage you to come to one of those panel style open houses. Let's see. Lauren or Raynell, do you want to tackle the social life question for DAO students? Or the typical day in a life experience? Either one.
Sure. Oh,
Oh,
Ms.
no, no.
Rafferty,
I
go.
think we
Ms.
both can add to it. You go first.
Okay. I'll speak a little bit to a day in the life. I was just meeting with a student earlier, and talking with this new student about what their day looked like today at DAO. For this student, this is a student in Eastern time. I happen to be located in Central time, so the student didn't happen to have a Block 0 course, but that allowed time for them to have a regular counseling check-in meeting with me. After that student met with me, they were going to go to a class. After class, they had plans to attend an instructor's office hours, take a little break, move to another class, and then after class, they had plans to meet up with a group. So they were going to prep a group project, I think maybe for history. And then the student was going to, after history, go to an extracurricular activity, come home and do some homework. In a lot of ways, a typical day in the life for a DAO student mirrors what it could look like in a brick and mortar, but with more efficiently used time.
Yeah, just to add to that, I think what I hear from students is it's more so not the busy work, but thoughtful work and work that gets them to work at the level that they're meant to work at. So in regards to, APs being designed for a college level, we teach beyond their grade level and with students that also are at their level as well. And so it's more thoughtful in the work that they do, and they enjoy it and they love it. So that's something to add to that as well. In terms of social life, we do different events coming into the school. Like we mentioned, we have ambassadors, and those are older students that are kind of ushering the new class in, connecting with them, mentoring them, buddying up. And then we also do that first year seminar is vital and very important for students to attend. And we say that because we go over so many different things, but it's also a time for them to connect with one another and remember they're not new. We have great staff that's very engaging. So we do, with our community events, students do clubs, activities. We have, like Mrs. Bowman said, we have movie nights, and then, like I said, parents will get their kids together. Students that find out they may live close to one another, they'll do meetups online. They'll do their work together. We have Get Your Head in the Game on Fridays for kids to organize themselves, but also just to have a touchstone. So the way I think of it is our school is built like college. When, you're taking college classes, you're working in between. And then, of course, you stop at the water cooler to see your friends and have some discussions. So it is a great school. And the students are amazing and they really do love it. They see the purpose in it, they feel seen, and they feel welcomed and like they finally belong. So it's a great organization.
Thanks, Raina. Another question about our teachers. I was just pulling up our faculty list because I was trying to get a sense of the tenure of our teachers. There are many of our teachers who've been with DAO since the beginning. But again, I don't have that exact median statistic for you. But another question was, are the teachers the same between Davidson Academy Online and Davidson Academy in Reno? No, we do not share faculty because we're two separate schools. But we actually do have two faculty right now who well, actually several of us started at Davidson Academy in Reno and then moved over to online. But yeah, two of our teachers were Reno campus teachers before. There's a question about the attrition rate of DAO students. This person is curious if any significant number of students withdraw because of challenges with an exclusively online model. That is an excellent question, and I think that is one that's really worth considering as a family when you're talking about applying to DAO. So we do lose students each year for a variety of reasons. Some of our students wind up transferring to the in-person campus in Reno. I should clarify, they do have to apply in order to get into the Reno campus. It's not just a straight transfer. So we do lose some students because they go to the in-person school. Sometimes students want to try out Davidson Academy Online for middle school and then decide that it's not the right fit for them to high school. So when we see attrition, it usually is between 8th and 9th grade. That's actually pretty common for schools of choice that have both middle and high schools, is seeing attrition between 8th and 9th grade. But yeah, there can be challenges for an exclusively online model for certain students. I think we found that students who have a healthy amount of extracurriculars that get them outside, get them to their local community. I want to stress healthy amount. Being involved in all the extracurriculars and trying to do a school that's academically rigorous it's too much, and I don't recommend that. But if your student plays on a local soccer team and it's like getting them outside and with other students, I think that online school can be a really great fit because I forget which wonderful student services counselor already said it. For some of these students, they find the online schedule just so much more efficient. So it's that they're able to get their work done and they actually have time to go play on their soccer team. But there are some students for whom online isn't the best model. If they really struggle to organize their time, to initiate tasks, if school is the only thing that they want to do, that can be tough for them if they're just at their house all day and not getting out. But it's a deeply personal question, so that's why I started out by saying I think it's a frank conversation to have with your family if you feel like it would be a good fit. All right, you want to answer the next one, Lauren?
Yeah, if I could, I'd just like to jump in. There's a question here about follow-up. So the student that I spoke about had a meeting with me, a class, teacher office hours, another class, and then a group project. The idea being that a lot of our new students are going to start out with just 5 courses. Our core courses meet either Monday, Wednesday, or Tuesday, Thursday, and our electives meet on Friday. So in any given week, a student might have 2 core courses on Monday, Wednesday, 2 core courses on Tuesday, Thursday, and then have an elective course on Friday. We aren't necessarily going to fill 4 core classes a day. We want to make sure that students have time and space in their schedule to honor the level of of rigor that our courses are going to expect of our students.
All right. Well, I want to thank everybody for joining us. We really appreciate it. We will post the recording of this webinar if there's anything that you missed or you'd like to go back to or share. If you have any questions, there's a general email that you can email online at davidsononline.org. That'll connect you to several people who are here on this webinar. And between the few of us, we can usually answer any question that you have. So again, I really thank you for your time today. I encourage you to, if you want to come back to one of those panel style open houses, those are really lovely. So I encourage you to sign up and come back. Again, thank you all. I hope you have a great rest of your day.